Entertainment news today. You're such a dragon gay. Everything sucks and it's no good. That comes out of Hollywood. But there's one place you can go to get all your news and info, and maybe even have a laugh or two. You know it's true. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark. All those bombs and flops, but need never stops. We will keep going through the night as we keep up the culture fight. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark.
It's Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. I had tacos last night because it was Cinco de Mayo, which is the day where you try to eat 5 tacos in a row, right, Nick? That's what I think it's all about, something like that.
Oh, absolutely, man. I love me some tacos. Unfortunately, I didn't have any for Cinco de Mayo, though, so shame on me.
Does taco pizza count?
No. It's good, but no, it doesn't count. It's not a pizza. It's damn good, but it ain't a pizza.
Oh, you mean that's what I'm saying? It's not a taco or it's not a pizza. Which is it?
A taco.
Okay, so you can eat that for taco. See? Okay, so the answer would be yes, but it's not a pizza. Okay,
as long as you fold over the slices.
See,
you still
Nick
gotta
is
have
here.
particular ingredients in order to qualify as a pizza.
It is pretty close to just a taco, a flat taco. But yeah, we have Nick Weiser here, and we got Professor R2. How you doing, Professor R2?
Oh, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Did you understand that? I didn't.
That was just incredibly offensive. I can't believe you said that.
I don't even know what I said.
You go out there and now you can do a GoFundMe and you can make like $500,000.
Yes. But I'm not a white lady.
Oh, you're right.
Shit. Price, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good. I think hanging in there. Had physical therapy today, but I'm sore.
Oh, you sound very excited.
I'm trying to muster up some energy. I have not had a lot of energy lately. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But you guys get me energized out there, like FKHC 2005 sending in some love for clobbering times right off the bat. We miss Clobby around here. And so hello everybody out there in the chat. Share the link out. Let everybody know that we are live. It is Tuesday. It is time for your favorite show on YouTube, whether you like it or not. We got D-Bud slinging the links in the chat. If you haven't subscribed to these fine gentlemen, do so. We may or may not have to kill a duckling if you don't.
Ooh.
So
Whoa.
you don't know for sure. So you don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Right.
We will club a baby seal for your entertainment.
That's right. Allegedly. If you don't subscribe.
If.
There's an asterisk there, like the Avengers, the new Avengers.
But hold on, the new Avengers.
The new
I think they'd be
Technically,
better off
this
just
is the
releasing a
second.
porno called the Nude Avengers. I think they'd have got more.
The only thing I don't get is that this isn't the second. This is the second New Avengers, because if you remember at the end of Age of Ultron, they were called the New Avengers. When
Was that,
Falcon-
or they were the Young Avengers? I thought, I can't remember.
No,
now.
it was the New Avengers. That was part of it.
So this is the new Avengers.
So that's all. That's what I'm getting at. So this must be the new Avengers.
Yeah. Avengers with the Z.
Oh god, that joke was awful. I don't get why. And okay, I can see why people liked it. I can see why people didn't like it. I can see why some people thought it was okay. The only thing I don't understand outside of the therapy stuff, and people can praise that, is what makes Red Guardian so great in that movie. I feel like he was the worst part of it. I actually don't think I couldn't disagree anymore with the whole Julia Louis-Dreyfus. To me, he was the worst part about it. And I say that as someone who likes a lot of stuff David Harbour is in. Red Guardian to me was the worst thing about it by a long shot.
Yeah.
I don't get
You
it.
know why? You know why? Because I think that this whole fake Russian accent is strange. They did wisely when they made Florence Pugh tone down her fake Russian accent, and they should have made him do that as well, and they didn't. So between the fake Russian accent, overly enthusiastic delivery of lines, and just the jokes that were written that didn't really land, he came out sticking out there like a sore thumb. But
Yeah.
I don't hate David Harbour. I think he's a good actor. And I will say that in a few scenes that were a little more dramatic with Florence Pugh that weren't supposed to be funny, he actually showed that he is a good actor. I blame the writers and the director more than him.
They probably encouraged it because they're like, that accent's funny, just keep doing it. It's kind of like when I did the Netflix thing. I knew when to quit, right? You can overdo a bit, right? And you
Right.
guys sometimes wonder, it's like, oh, why didn't you do any more? That's why. Because you guys are still asking for more, meaning I didn't kill it yet, meaning there's still a chance. You never know. It could come back, but I'm not going to do it now, or at least anytime in the near future, because it makes no sense when I've already done 2-3 videos. The joke's done. And that's kind of what it is with him. That's what I feel like it is. They like the funny accent, if that makes sense.
I totally
And-
think that's the case, and they shouldn't have said that to him. They should have just let him play it a little more straight.
Yeah. And as far as the new Avengers thing, all I can think about when I think about that is the scene from Spinal Tap.
Before that, we were in different groups. I was in a group called the Creatures, which was a skiffle group.
I was in Lovely Lads, and then we looked at each other and said,
Said,
well, we
"Look,
might
why
as
not?"
well join up, you know, and
So
Then we became the regulars, or the originals.
And, we had to change our name, actually.
well, there's another group in the East End called the Originals, and we had to rename ourselves. And
The new original.
The new Originals.
And they became
The regulars. They changed.
They
their
became
name
the
back to
regulars.
And we thought, well, we could go back to the originals, but what's the point?
we became
But what's the
Kingsmen
point?
at that
I love
That's
that
what it-
movie.
Oh,
That's
such a
what I
classic.
think of when I hear this shit. It's like, do you guys not realize how stupid this is? And
Yes.
it didn't work for fucking Birds of Prey. And hi, CC. Welcome to the program.
Hey, hello.
Hey, Cece.
We got our Canadian contingent in here.
Yeah.
In Russia, Netflix watches you. This is correct. Go ahead. Sorry,
I
CC.
didn't see the movie, but I did. Whenever I think of them, I just think of dad bods. If dad bods are still a thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Dad bods
But,
and dad jokes. That's what we-
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
appreciate good dad jokes.
The movie's
Both
not
weren't
doing
good
all that
dad
well.
jokes.
It's
No.
not doing all that well. It's falling off a
No.
cliff, it sounds like. So
No, no,
That's why they did the
I'm,
whole.
I'm waiting to see how second weekend goes to make that judgment. It's not obviously adjusted for inflation. I think it's the second lowest one opening weekend, but I want to see what the legs are on this because what I looked at is this run needs around 600 million to break even. So as of now,
Yeah.
it needs 400 million more to break even.
Yeah. It's
Don't
it's
worry,
really,
Goddess.
it's really
ahead,
going to
sorry.
have to do an impressive second weekend.
It's gonna have to do like at worst like a 55, and even then that might be cutting it. I might be overly generous with that. It might have to be like 45%, which I don't think is possible because you got to remember a lot of the business that those type of movies get come from the Thursday previews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
right.
Because a lot of people get it, but so they can say they saw it right away.
Well, and that's just it. It didn't do much better on Saturday and Sunday, which is not a good sign.
No.
And don't worry, Goddess, I don't plan on talking about it long, but go ahead,
It
R2.
costs too much money to make this movie, and I think that time and time again with Kevin Feige, he keeps spending too much money on these movies. Maybe you could have done a movie like this that was smaller, like for 50 million or 100 million, or something more reasonable. At least maybe you'll make your money back. Once you start investing like 200 million and another 100 million for marketing, you're assuming that you're going to make like over 600 million or 700 million at the box office or more, and you're kind of an idiot if you think that.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Right now, looking at the first opening weekend and looking at the typical drop off for the second weekend and going forward, right now it's still in that same in between Eternals and Brave New World, 400 something. Is right where it is. So, if this second weekend is phenomenal, if it gets some great word of mouth, then maybe it picks up a little more. But I really don't see how it's going to be possible.
Guardians
600
3 opened up lesser, if you remember. I've never seen that movie, but I remember that one opened up significantly less than the second one.
Yeah.
And then
it carried because of word of mouth.
Yeah,
because that's why I'm curious to see if this one will do the same.
Yeah,
that's an exception. I see, because that's one that people wanted to see, but they just weren't sure because of the way Marvel was going.
Oh yeah,
and that's kind of the moment I really realized that, because I've been seeing little nuggets and kernels of this comic book movie thing is coming to an end, but Marvel's really hit a brick wall. Right. And there was a few key moments where I knew that was happening. And that was one of them when Guardians 3 failed to open as big as it should have. Granted, it did leg out. It sustained, but that was just because of word of mouth from people like us. They went out there and said, no, the movie's good. It's decent. It's a follow up to part 3 and game. It doesn't have anything to do with any of the other crap. Right? That's the best thing it had going for it. But yeah, R2, you sounded like you wanted to say something in between that.
Oh no, I'm right with you. It's exactly what we were saying. Like it's gonna have to have some amazing word of mouth, and I just don't think that it's gonna get that same kind of word of mouth that we got off of Guardians 3.
I don't think it has anything. And I don't think it has anything to bring the audience in, right? You can call it the new Avengers, but we all know it doesn't really matter.
I had a feeling that was going to be the plan no matter what. I don't think it's going to save the movie at all. I really don't think so. No. But do I feel like that actually was the plan the entire time with the asterisk and all that? Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I actually do not put it past them to think that that's a good idea. Because some people say, oh, it's because the opening weekend is not as good as it could be. No, they were going to do that anyway. Even if the weekend was good, this was meant to be the movie title version of a bait and switch all along because they wanted to surprise the first people who saw it.
Yep. It's part of the marketing plan all along.
Yep.
I agree, Nick.
It was, and I don't think it's going to work to their detriment regardless on that. They're going to need to start worrying about the only I see at US, I think the domestic total for the US, I think it'll probably be overall somewhere between 200 and 225 million domestically. And even, I don't see it going beyond that. I think what I see I think the overseas market is really going to need to be the saver on this one. Because I see no more than 225 mil domestically for this one.
Yeah, and I brought this up here on screen. I hadn't even really planned on talking about this too much. But this also come out the other day. It was a story in the Washington State Journal. Sorry, I used to work for the Wisconsin State Journal. And in it is this story about how Marvel wanted more, and Kevin Feige was stretched so thin, almost like it's somewhat of an excuse for why things have gotten. In fact, one of the points was made that some staffers had even to resort to chasing Feige down the hallway for answers. So I don't know if this is him trying to dust off some of the responsibility and claim, oh, Disney wanted way too much for me. I got stretched too thin. Now they want less. So now I'll be able to concentrate. I don't know if that's the whole gist of this article. I haven't been able to read it because it's behind a paywall.
It's
But I saw
totally
this.
some weird spin, like all those articles are.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody here's read it or not who could give us an insight into it, but yeah, I saw this and I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, this sounds like incoming spin and a half, trying to give excuses for the failure of the last few Marvel films. Because let's not make any. There's no real beating around the bush now, right?
No.
Since Multiverse of Madness, this thing has been on a downward slope. And if you take out Spider-Man and Deadpool and Wolverine, they technically really haven't had a hit since Endgame. Now you can kind of say that, yes, Multiverse of Madness probably was profitable. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was probably profitable. But outside of those 4 films that I just named, the rest underperformed big time. Even Thor Love and Thunder, from my memory, underperformed. Because I think that only did, what, like 700 million? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If that did a little more, I'll say that one may have made money. But other than those 4 or 5 titles I just mentioned, they've all performed under the $700 to $600 million range. And in some cases, like the Marvels, we already know, like they ended their run with under 200 million. So that's where I think this is going to wind up.
And,
I mean,
it's
this
not gonna
wasn't
turn
even a
around.
big movie, even by their own standards. These were just like leftover characters that people weren't that excited about to begin with. It was a movie that, again, if this was like a $50 million movie that they made something smaller, or the whole thing with marketing $125 million, maybe this would have been a win for them. But with $300 million, I don't know what they were thinking to themselves. And
They're retarded.
I mean,
right?
yeah, I mean, it's the same with like Marvels and all that other stuff that it ballooned out of control with all those budgets.
Well, all the
Yeah,
budgets
that's
they've already spent on movies that haven't been released yet over the next couple of years that are part of the same failure. Like, the
This
all
Fantastic
the
Four
money-
is not going to be the turnaround.
This type
Well,
of
it's not
movie-
just that. No, go ahead. It's just to say there's even been reports now of all the money that's been spent on the monies that didn't happen, like Blade. You guys realize how much money they already spent on Blade? They built a set. Like an entire fucking set for this movie. They never even shot. And I guess they even had built like this train for a train sequence that never got shot. So there, right there's how many millions of dollars they shoved down their fucking drain. Like, and that makes me wonder, how many other projects have we never seen? Because this movie feels like leftovers, is what it should have been fucking called. It feels like what was left over of whatever they were trying to do with the new Young Avengers all these last few years here, trying to cram all this crap down our throats. This feels like whatever they had left over that they had to tie up some knots and ends before they got to Endgame. Like, I don't know, I've not seen the film, so I can't comment on that. But to me, it feels like such an also-ran to where it doesn't really matter, right? You guys who've seen it, tell me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't really...
As far as it mattering, and this is where I feel like it's premature to answer that question, because I questioned originally, as much as I really enjoyed the first Ant-Man, I thought to myself, why would this matter in the greater scheme as much as I love that first Ant-Man? But then Endgame happens and the quantum realm, I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see why. So,
but is there really anything in this movie that could truly play into the future of the Marvel universe?
Until the future plays out, I would have not foreseen that when Ant-Man come out. Until the future plays out.
I get what you're saying, Nick, but I think I could have even been like, well, I'm sure that we're going to skip multiverse stuff at some point. I think that was kind of already being. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong.
I don't want to make that type of answer until we see how the picture plays out, because there can be subtle things that play out, and you think it's nothing.
Well, I don't want to get into specifics because I don't want to get into any spoilers, but as far as I know, the only things that really matter are the fucking end credit sequences.
For me, that was not the only thing that mattered.
Yeah. We also get the introduction of the Sentry. Yeah,
yes,
we get the introduction of the Sentry.
It's going to amount to something. Whether it ends up being good is obviously for debate.
Yeah.
But I feel like the actor who played him did a good job with what time he had. He should have had more. He should have had more of it, because I like what we got on Sentry.
Yeah.
It's a real shame. But this is, I think, one of the biggest flaws of releasing this type of movie, whether you want to tie it Thunderbolts to Asterisk, the New Avengers, whatever you want to call it, honestly, is neither here nor there. This is not the type of movie you release in this current market, especially with the budget. The budget just adds insult to injury. this is the type of movie you release when you're doing very well. That's why Guardians was able to do so well. That's why Ant-Man was able to do so well, because they garnered enough goodwill after 10, 12 movies that they could start to take risks on, smaller properties like that. And it would be fine because they had the trust of the Marvel brand to coast off of that, because they knew that these characters are far, far, far more obscure. Like even some comic fans don't know of some of these characters. That helped to their advantage, but they're in a very weakened state, and they're still cramming these movies out. They're treating it like every one of these movies has to be as big as the other. And here's the thing: not every comic is always as big as the other. You can't treat every property like that. Certain things are going to be latched onto more than others. Even if somehow they're all good, there's always going to be a few that are all just going to do way better than the other. That's just the nature of the beast. But to act like every one of them, Disney thinks that they could just shove a giant budget on all of them and that they all had to make that type of money is insane. You need to adjust your budgets according to what's going on for that story at that time, rather than thinking, oh, we're just going to apply this to all of them because we want to get the most amount of money as possible, when now they're losing more money than possible in spite of it.
Yeah. And well, remember that Ant-Man also, that was kind of a crowd pleaser. It was more of a family friendly, sort of a fun romp of a movie.
Oh yeah.
This one is a superhero movie, or ostensibly a superhero movie anyway, about loneliness and depression.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't really down for that. And I don't think kids are going to be really thrilled to watch this movie. I'm going to go out there. Loneliness and depression. It's really a crowd pleaser. I will say I did read that Wall Street Journal article. And most of it, I think some of it, honestly, I don't think there's a lot to take from it, other than I think this was kind of, as you said, these were leaks, quote unquote, right? that were coming from insiders.
Leaks. Gotcha.
Telling us what their plans are. And really part of the focus there, to speak to what Nick was saying, was that they're spending too damn much money. Specifically, they talked about that how much money they have absolutely flushed down the toilet with their TV shows. That just flushed it down the toilet, and they're going to have to pull back on their live action streaming series significantly. So we're looking at maybe seeing 1 to 2 a year instead of 5, 6 a year.
They already cut down to that many shows. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying.
Well,
that's all they're going to have going forward.
I want to see Ironheart.
Oh yeah, that's coming. We're getting that in
it's coming.
3 weeks.
It's coming. It's supposed to be coming.
I would have taken 7 seasons of WandaVision on a sitcom set, just following the family and their shenanigans.
Well, that's the problem, right? Like that's the and we've said it before, and that's kind of the best place to wrap this up. And I want to read that article because I can almost imagine what's in there. Because the big problem here is, and I've been saying it for a while, these shows should not be as expensive as the fucking movies. And you're right. You guys are right. These movies should be categorized in a way of, okay, we're doing an Avengers film. Fine. Then you can spend $200 million on it. But if you're just doing something like, the new Avengers or the Thunderbolts, as it's called, whatever you want to call it, that movie, there's no reason that movie should be over $60 million. You don't even really have anybody super in the movie.
Agreed.
Right? You only have the Sentry who shows up, and you have the two Captain America and Captain and what's his face, the David Harbour's character, the Red what do you call him?
Red Guardian and
Red Guardian. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name. And those are the only two who technically really have any powers, right? And they're minimal powers at best because they're weaker than the real Captain America. It is my memory from both of them.
Yeah, Red Guardian and Winter Soldier, and then
Winter Soldier technically too.
US Agent, all of which are they've all gotten the serum to make.
So that's the only real supers you have in the group. So my point is at the end of the day, you don't need any major special effects. You only need 2-3 major action sequences top, and it doesn't even sound like you really got that much action in this movie. It sounds like most of it's just people sitting around and talking.
That's
where I'm sitting here scratching my head, going, "Where did the fucking money go?" because I could make this movie for next to nothing. In fact, that's exactly what Jason Statham movies have been for the last fucking 10 years, right? They've been basically this movie made for a third of the price.
I will say they did hang a lantern on that, Tom, in the film. You haven't seen it, but there is one scene, one of the only lines I really laughed at in the movie, where Florence Pugh, Yelena, she looks around, she looks at everyone that's there and goes, "What? So we all just punch and shoot people?" Because that's all they do. That's the whole
all they
team
can
is just
do,
people
right?
who punch and shoot people. That's it.
And this should be more or less like
supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and it's like even things like Daredevil should not cost that much.
No,
right?
not
You should
at
be able to
all.
make all these smaller B, C tier characters. That should be your TV shows, and you should have a budget to where the entire show shouldn't run you more than $20 million, and that's being generous, right? That's more than I think CW ever spent on 3 shows put together. I think. I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But
the numbers.
that's where all these small, lower level, street level characters should be, is on there. And it's once in a while you can pull them into a buddy movie here or there, but that's where that comes in. And the same thing with all these other movies. We just need to get back to basics. Fantastic Four is kind of in the right direction, but at the same time, it's in the wrong directions because it's still hanging on to the same crap as before. I
feel like no one got the memo that, hey, your market for these movies is not doing well, yet you're still treating all these movies as if these bad performances never happen. We've heard rumblings that apparently that they got in the memo that they mess up and that they need a course correct, but then you see budgets still being rolled out the way they're being rolled out, and you see marketing and all this stuff, and you're like, damn, have they learned anything? Because I'm starting to think that they haven't learned shit.
Well, every one of these productions made by Marvel at Disney has 19 different producers all demanding their VIG. So it's like, how are you ever going to get the budget down, right?
Well, that's the problem across the board, not just with Disney, but even I remember
that's right.
the joke of, I don't know if you ever watched Star Trek Discovery or a Trekkie at all, but
oh yeah,
like that was one of the big jokes with Star Trek Discovery. Is I think one time the most they counted was like 27, I think it was, producers on one of the fucking shows.
God, yes.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I went back and counted. I'm like, no shit, they're not kidding. It was either 17 or 27. It's so long ago now, I can't remember, but it was some ungodly number. It's like and we kept making the joke. There are more producers than there is actual cast members in the show.
Wow, that gives Vin Diesel's family and the Fast and Furious a run for its money with the size of it.
Shit.
Holy
Well, and this is where I've been learning it over and over again and time again, where a lot of times when they say, okay, a movie costs $200 million, $100 million of that money goes right into the pockets of a producer or a production company. It's basically the cost of doing business with them. And then the other 100 is actually what's allocated to the production itself. And I've been finding this out becoming more and more common. And I think it's to the point where this is the way almost all of these movies are produced. And that does lend in some ability where if it's like Disney doing things like that and they're just telling us this much, that could be the case. I'm starting to wonder if that might come to play at some point, that they're lying and cooking their books. And they're hiding money by saying, oh, well, we set aside this money. This is part of the production, but it's this is this thing for this production here and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Because, like, that's what they, like if Legendary signs up for a movie and Warner Brothers gives X amount of money out, well, then that amount of money, they take half of that right off the bat, is from what I'm understanding. So, like, yeah, even though Dune 2, let's say, cost $180 million or whatever it was, like 90 of it went into fucking Legendary's pocket right off the bat. Does that make sense?
Yep.
No, that actually does make a lot of sense.
That's what I've been learning more and more often now. Yeah.
There's the back end deal of what money they're hiding, and then we still don't know the back end of probably what money that they're receiving as well. We don't know, and that's probably what's helped keep all this bullshit afloat for as long as it has, with them losing money out the box.
It's not new either.
No, it's not.
Because we actually have an interview with Gary Tunnicliffe from way back when he worked on the Last Exorcist movie before they did the new ones. And I don't know if you guys know this, but they shot that movie twice. They literally shot it twice. Okay, so like they had Paul Schrader come in and shoot the movie, and it didn't test well. So they scrapped that version, in quotations, And they brought in Rennie Harlan, the guy who directed like Die Hard 2 and shit like that, and Long Kiss Goodnight. And he made the entire movie all over again. And basically used the same concept, same kind of story idea. The only difference was he made it quote unquote scarier and added a bigger, longer exorcism scene and all this other shit. So they put out the original version, and for years they talked about this other one, and they did eventually release it, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is Gary told us flat out that they went around and said, and they did get paid $40 million to make the movie, but half the money went right into the pocket of the production company. I think it was Morgan Creek or whoever it was at the time. So like they literally they made the movie for like $19 million. Even though it was reported as a $40 million movie. If that makes sense. So this is something that's a practice that's gone way back since way back when. So anyway, that being said, we got Nicholas Horton in the house who says, "Hail Mead, I thank God I still have GTA San Andreas and don't need this upcoming GTA 6 classic game. Still works." I just started playing GTA 4 a little bit the other day, or actually like a week or two ago. But speaking of, and I know that's one of the main reasons CC popped in tonight, we got a trailer today. So let's start here, because this is probably going to get chopped out. So for those who are like, where'd the trailer go? If you're watching this on the replay, that's what happened. Between the music and the visuals, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, there's lots of music in this.
Oh yeah.
What you doing up there?
I'm just fixing some leaks.
Seriously, dude, you got some time on your hands. I got some
Solid
properties
visuals.
with paying tenants.
Yeah, okay, before I start griping about shit, look, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
I don't know how much of this is actual gameplay footage, and I don't know, CC, you may be able to shine some light on this. I've heard rumors where in the past, in the trailers, they'll show what is quote-unquote gameplay footage, but it's actually rendered gameplay footage to where it's rendered
there's no gameplay in this trailer. But I don't know if this is in engine or not. If it's in engine, it's going to set your computer on fire.
Yeah, I was going to say, also, if it's in engine, it could be on a $4,000 computer rendering all of this, right? So,
I want to believe this is the way the game's going to look. But
it looks fantastic.
It looks fantastic. That I will say, first and foremost, the graphics, all that business looks fantastic, but I've got some issues.
Well, that's why you came by?
Just go get me my checks.
See you, Brian. Love you, Jason.
Yeah, because most of this stuff looks like something that would be attached to some gameplay of some type. It's not like when you're just rolling around.
Yeah, they're all cutscenes.
This is the closest one, but this still looks like it might be leading into something.
You're supposed to be getting out.
What's your name?
Jason Duval.
I seen you here before.
You might have. Hey.
They're using the Spaceballs song.
Hey.
Is that them telling us they're going to bust our balls?
Hands above your head, now!
They're really trying to tell us something.
Well, this is in Miami.
And womenly women.
It's in Vice City, right? So it's the
but
there's the
still.
80s vibes going on there.
And I wouldn't have a problem with a chick being in this game, but here's one of my main issues, and I said it on Twitter. This game looks like a chick threw up all over it. It looks so fucking gay, like it was made by some woke white woman. Like, this does not evoke Grand Theft Auto to me. At all. Like, the footage and everything looks great. That I will say, but there's just something about it is not clicking with me.
I mean, we can get into it after the trailer, but I mean, I'm thinking the delay to 2026 may have been to change some concepts.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Scrub some things that were maybe a little more heavy-handed.
Let's get into that after the trailer, yeah. Because we only got about a minute.
Trust me, this place is just the start for us.
Ring the bell! Shots, baby!
The only thing that
Quarter
matters
Black Garrett?
is who you know and what you got.
Gonna do this? We're doing it right.
Yo, D, this full effect? And they got your name, address, they got everything.
Us cops, we gotta protect each other.
Like,
You and me, Lou. We got this.
we got it.
Say Vice City, baby.
Vice City, baby!
Come to Field's Ammunition today. We got more guns than the law allows.
Hey.
Why does she got dump ass whenever she's wearing clothes? Does anybody else notice that?
Yeah.
Like frumpy mom ass? Like, I don't know.
Hey, if you got friends, can you hook me up, please?
Okay, I'm not alone in noticing, and at least Alyssa says it, so I'm assuming you're a female. Because I'm already considered quite misogynist. So yeah, so CC, fill us in on what you know about this thing.
Well, I mean, we know it's been delayed till 2026, and I'm watching this trailer, and what do they start with? They start with a bare-chested, well-built man looking and acting a little bit manly, and they're focusing on women in skimpy clothes doing womanly things. It's almost like they're trying really, really hard to say this is still GTA, and men are men and women are women, and there's going to be lots of depravity. But it feels like they're trying a little too hard to tell us that.
Yep.
And like you said, it's kind of covered in all this kind of something else is going on here, right? And I don't hate the concept of a kind of a man
Bonnie
and
and
woman.
Clyde kind of thing.
The
Yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde. I think I'm not sitting here thinking, okay, this is definitely going to be absolute trash, right? Because it can be done very well, but there's also some kind of red flags in the trailer that make me think maybe, as we had previously heard, I don't know if the leaks are true, right? But we had previously heard that the woman was to be the main character.
Yes, the
to
central
be
character.
the stronger counterpoint.
That's
There's a
what
little scene
I'm
in there where
getting.
she's driving the
Yeah.
car, right? And
She's always the one in control sexually too. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and when they're in the helicopter and she kind of like jumps down to like a little bit maybe
I've seen at least 2 or
Does she
3
have the
scenes where she's
strength for
taking down guys twice her size. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm kind of wondering if the game wasn't leaning really heavily into that, and maybe they're taking this next delay to 2026 to try and change it because they see the tide turning, and they're like, maybe we should tone this down a bit. But,
I agree with you. I totally would have no issues with a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. But you got to make it believable. There's no way Bonnie's going to be going around kickboxing with dudes twice her fucking size.
No.
You give her a bunch of guns, sure, she can take down anybody you want, right? But that's where you make her like the sharpshooter. You give her other things that make sense, right? Maybe make him a little bit more of the blunt force object or whatever. But anyway, that's just we don't know for sure.
There's
But yeah,
another
go ahead.
issue, I think, that people are just sick of any of this crap. Maybe if everything would have been great and we would have gotten great movies, great games, great everything, great shows for the past several years, and then they show this, we would I think people would have been like, okay, they're trying something different. Okay, this is a creative choice they made. And I think people would be more open-minded. But at this point, because every single thing has all those stupid agendas and all that crap, you can't help but think to yourself that maybe there's something here that's going to be annoying. More annoying than what we see in the trailer.
Yeah, and I'm not alone. I was just say Elon Musk also noticed. Yeah, he is not the, and I don't want to use the term aggressor, but that's the only way I can think of describing it. He is never once in the entire thing the aggressor in the situation. If you notice, she's always jumping on top, spinning him around, being on top. Like you just said, he never grabs her. She's always grabbing him. Which it feels like it's a one-sided relationship. But you were about to say, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, even if I give Rockstar the benefit of the doubt here to say that, well, they're going to take this next year and they're going to really try and, level that out a bit and have him grab her a couple of times, so to speak. How much of the foundation is already in place? Because this game looks, as others have said, pretty gay. And I don't necessarily mind that, right? It's just, but I mean, when that foundation is so ingrained on what the game was, even if I give them the benefit of the doubt, they're trying to try and change that and smooth that out a little bit and balance it now. I mean, you got the whole foundation of the game is already right there, right? Like it's.
She's pegging him in the picture, isn't she?
Yeah, she might have a strap.
I didn't want
on.
to say it, but no,
It's, you know,
it's implied pegging. No, it was also pointed out in the chat that she doesn't even look anything like that in the game. You're 100% right, because she looks all frumpy and dumpy and everything she's wearing. Now, the one time that she doesn't look all frumpy and dumpy is when she's actually laying in bed with him or whatever, and you can see her mostly naked, except for her top and bottom, right? Like, and even then, it's still like she is kind of the aggressor in that fucking scene. And again, I don't want to read too much into it. I'm trying not to, but I can feel it, and I don't want to be the person who's like, Radar is just feeding into this stuff so much. But Nick,
it's fair enough at this point. It's fair play. I mean, he has this kind of doofus look, and she has this kind of I'm the boss look. If you look at the picture.
Well, that was the other thing. Is like, are they going to make him a little bit more masculine? But because he's such a,
he's going to be the guy in Mice of Mice and Men.
And I don't even know if True Romance would be a good compare, because even in True Romance, like what's her face, she gets a shit kicked out of her.
Yeah. She still has a feminine thing going on. And he becomes like more confident and more.
That's kind of the whole point. Yeah, it's about him becoming a man. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
He becomes a man throughout the movie, whereas this guy starts off less man than the woman, and I feel like that's just going to continue. That's what's the game is going to be like. Unless they've taken this year because they learned some kind of lesson and they're really making a change. And like Cece said, who knows how much they can change now. But
well, this is, the trailer definitely is trying to say that it's not going to be like that, right? Like you
that's what gives me more pause, right? Because and you're right, CC, and that's what it is about this feeding into me. It's like there's this, we're going out of our way, but you're not showing me the things that I'm used to seeing with the GTA, right? There's still something about this that feels fucking off. The humor's not there, even though they have the song from Spaceballs playing throughout.
Well,
the tongue-in-cheek nature of GTA is missing. Why? Because they are so fucking self-aware of what they are doing, and that's why we notice it, because they are making sure that in every single interaction between these two that we've seen so far, that's the way the game's probably going to be, because they put that too much. Because those are the little things that nobody would have thought twice about before, right? That's what I'm talking about. They're micromanaging this bullshit in here, and whether they're trying to micromanage their way out of it through the next year, you could be right, CC. Just makes me wonder if they're just trying to fix the bugs, because that's the problem with most movies now, or most games nowadays, is that they have so many fucking bugs that it almost. I'm glad that they'll take an extra year just to fix all the bugs than just put an unfinished game out.
Yep. Well, there's one more reason. There's one more reason they're holding off for a year. And I do think they're going to be working on maybe tweaking the story a bit, maybe getting rid of some of the more woke components and stuff. But there's another reason they're going to hold it off for a year. And that is they're going to wait for everyone to settle in to pay an $80 for your new games so they can charge you $100.
That's the other part of this. And CC, you wanted to bring up another point, I think, before we get to the price hike.
No, I was just going back to the whole foundation. Like writing, you need good writers. Does Rockstar have good writers anymore? They used to. They used to have fantastic writers.
They're not even the same company anymore, are they?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like they're Rockstar in name only and have been for a little while now. And this game has been in development for years. And it's been in development for years under maybe not the best of conditions. So it's like no matter what you can fix and tweak over the next year, if the fundamental, like the production from a writing standpoint and a plotting standpoint, like it's like storyboarding of the game. What's the storyboarding of this game from scene to scene, from mission to mission? If it's broken on that level, you're not going to be able to put that.
And I'm not going to pretend that GTA 5 had the greatest fucking story in the world either. Honestly, I'd say probably the two that had the best stories were probably 4 and 3, which most people would consider like the first game, right? Since that's the first modern version of what we've had. And those are probably, and I preferred Vice City, but I'll be the first to admit that's basically Scarface. They just ripped the plot of
Yes.
Scarface.
No, I love Vice City. I've played
I
through
do
that
too.
twice.
But that's the beauty of these
yeah.
games is they have this kind of other world feel about them. They're not in our world, and that's how they can get away with being that much more risque, right? All you got to do is sit there and listen to what's his face on the radio. I just forgot his damn name. He's in most of the games too. He does all the radio talk show. Not Milo, but something like that. Oh fuck, what the hell is his name? Just listen to some of the shit he talks about. You can tell this world is so tongue-in-cheek in the way it's presented to us and the way the world is played out, and there's no fucking kids for one. Right?
Laszlo, is that who you're thinking of?
Laszlo, thank you,
Yes.
Laszlo. That's what I was trying. You listen to any of those radio shows for 5 minutes and you kind of get that this world is not meant to be a one-to-one for our world, right? Like it's meant to be like this tongue-in-cheek version of our world. And, it was even kind of awkward in the last game when one of the main characters had kids, even though they were quote unquote adult kids. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just not something I'm used to having in the game itself. But no, I'm not sold on this yet. Nick, you've been real quiet, so let's get your take before we get into the pricing factor, because that's the next big part of this.
Yeah, trailer looks okay. There's definitely some red flags there. If I ever do play this, because I'm not honestly frothing at the bit to play this, but should I do, I'm honestly not really into the whole, I want to have a good story to this. Will that be the way? Maybe, but my best guess is this game overall, my prediction is this game will be 7 out of 10 at best. I think there will be some of the old, fun, familiar tropes that people come to know and love from it. But you can tell they will have also changed some things to not make it as, let's just say, versed in stuff about the message per se. This is them trying to have their cake and eat it too with this game. And I think the stuff that they dialed back on, what parts that are still up behind it are going to stand out so much more because they dialed back a tad. But it's still going to be there. I think it's going to be a 7 out of 10 game. Maybe 7.5 at best.
I think you're right, and I think they're missing out on a big point here because GTA Online is a big deal, right, CC? I mean,
it's a huge deal.
It's a big deal, and one of the big points of that is you get to make your own character. Now, I would think when you're coming to the next GTA game, besides the graphics, which are the obvious thing, right? The thing you'd want to concentrate on more is how do we make this the most interactive, self-made GTA game you can have? Because they keep talking about people want to see themselves in these games and movies. Then put your fucking money where your mouth is, right? Because I have a baseball game right now, the brand new MLB 2005. All I had to do is take a picture of my face on an app, and I have a player who looks exactly like me. Okay? So you can do this easy. Why are we not getting to this technology? And not only that, why have they never brought back the part of GTA San Andreas that was one of the most interesting parts of that game, where you could actually fashion your person through what you ate, how much you worked out, and all that kind of shit? That shit has been gone from the games. All the little things have been gone from the game for a couple of volumes now, CC. I mean, that's to me my biggest complaint with the games overall is they haven't innovated. They've gone backwards, if you ask me, as far as the things that you can do in the vastness of the games. Because I hate the story of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but I got to admit, you get to do the most you can with your character in that game, as far as fashioning your character the way you want.
That's my main concern about this game, especially we're in 2025. Technology is advancing, and there are in good ways. Like you could do amazing things with an interactive world that may not have been as easy to accomplish 20 years ago. I mean, certainly some games were ahead of their time, but one of the great things about GTA, and one of the things that gets everyone clutching their pearls over it, is that you can do anything, right? The idea that you know, when it's at its best, that you can interact with the world in any which way. You can be as awful as you want. You can do heinous things. And I mean, they haven't really communicated that to us yet. And yeah, it can be small things like you're talking about, like when you overeat and you get fat. I mean, I want to see that.
Right. Yeah.
But it can also
like,
be,
where'd that go? Yeah, sorry.
But it can also be, in some, like talk about a great kind of RPG, for example, where you could kill anybody in the world that you want. You can kill important quest NPCs. You know what I mean? Not that, but
Well, with AI technology, you can even take like your voice, do a few like samples, and it shouldn't even be able to use your voice, right? Like, why aren't they doing that kind of stuff yet? Like, that's my question, because I think that's what Elon's getting about, AI being the next thing in video gaming. I have a feeling that's what a lot of it's going to be. It's not only going to be you're going to be able to interact with the game yourself, personal ways, but the game is going to be personally interacting with you, and it can react in real time with what you're doing. Right? Because like you said, you could have an important character that you turn around and kill. Well, then the game can turn around and it doesn't necessarily have to kill that line of whatever happens. It could just calculate and find another way to send you down that path, right? Or something else like that. But no, like that's what I'm saying is like the innovation doesn't seem to be there outside of the graphics anymore. It's like that's all they seem to care about is the graphics. And it's like, no, we need more than that. They keep rebuilding the same games on the same engines all the time, basically, it feels like. Now, this looks like, is this supposed to be a new engine, though? Is that what's going on here, or what's the deal?
Okay, I don't know what engine it's built on.
Okay.
I haven't looked into that.
Okay, well, I didn't know, but I mean, I know, like, the last, half a dozen games have all pretty much been built on the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So he's just, yeah.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, is this going to be a big empty world, or is it going to be a world that you can actually interact with and just have fun? Because I mean, there's like, main story, and I would want a good main story. I would want it to be bug free, but I also know that so many of the people who would be willing to buy and play this game would be wanting to spend dozens of hours just running around the city doing shit. Just doing random shit and seeing what.
Well, and
and
there's another example is like not Grand Theft Auto, but similarly, Red Dead Redemption 2, right? There's a lot more interactivity with the world in that in comparison to here, because like in Grand Theft Auto, you're still limited to what you can do and where you can go as far as certain buildings and shit like that. Of course, there's astronomically more buildings in a GTA game than there is in Red Dead Redemption, but like 99% of the buildings you can go in and out of. The only time it keeps you out of a building is if it generally has to do with a storyline later that it doesn't want you disrupting that area, right? But you can pretty much explore that world in any way, shape, or form you want. And that's the kind of shit I think they need to get into. But that's neither here nor there. That's just my griping as far as gaming goes. Let's talk about the pricing, because I think you brought it up, R2, about how, or if not, I don't remember who brought it up.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, I will say this is GTA 6 is supposed to be using the an upgraded version of the Rage engine, Rockstar's own engine.
Okay.
So they used the previous version of it for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. So this is supposed to be built on a new version of that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm interested to see how that turns out. But okay, so let's talk about the pricing, because this game is going to be about $120 million.
Sure? I knew it was going to be around at least 100.
Yeah,
but I didn't hear about 120.
Yeah, of course, they're going to put all sorts of different versions of this out, right? There's going to be the standard edition, and then there's going to be one that comes with all of these other, things and whatever. So yeah, like we see that with all the releases now these days. But I think they're going to make the entry level is probably going to be $100.
I think you're right.
Yep.
And then if you want like the deluxe edition or this edition or that edition, or if you want to buy all the add-ons, it's going to cost you.
Here's a version that comes with an ankle monitor. Oh, neat. I don't know.
Oh, Lord. Oh, shit. That's all we need is a probation fucking, simulator.
Yeah, it goes off if you spend too much time away from GTA 6.
That's funny.
You haven't played GTA 6 today. Oh, Lord.
You got to check in with your virtual parole officer.
Do you think that's going to matter? Do you think the pricing is going to deter people at all? I don't think it's going to matter.
No, it's not. Here's another thing that they could do, too. Even if it somehow doesn't sell as well, which I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to have a really strong showing. It's a good way to, when you have the prices high, to make the numbers look good. Look how much money this game made versus copies sold. So even
that's
if
a good point, Nick.
Though, like I said, I still think it's going to sell well no matter what, but that is a good masking effect with a price that high.
Yeah, because I mean, if you kind of figure it, this game can sell almost half of what 5 did,
Uh-huh.
And with that big of a price hike, you wouldn't really notice that much of a difference in the actual revenue stream because it's almost twice the price.
So this is all going according to plan for them. They're going to come out on top in their eyes no matter what.
Yeah. And they need to make the cops a little bit more realistic in these games.
Good luck.
Either they can never seem to get it right. You ever notice that? Same thing with
I think it's not a matter
Red Dead
of
Redemption.
It's that I think that they don't want to. They are clearly so concerned about how one particular demographic feels about cops that give them any sense of realism or accuracy to them is making them all of a sudden, hey, look, Rockstar Games is a pro-police company for games. It's just like that, even though that doesn't really make them that, but they're going to see it that way. And you are right when you said these people are very aware of what they're doing. They're aware of that too. We don't have stupid people working on a game this time around, which is good. However, because we know how aware they are.
Well, I'm just saying these cops are too efficient and incompetent. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly how.
Like, I can't even fucking fart in the wrong direction on a GTA game without the cops coming after. It's like, motherfucker, I didn't even do nothing. He started to fight. Right? Like, why am I the one being chased here? Like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. And I've seen enough cop videos now to know how fucking inept most of these DEI hires are. Now, that would make me laugh. If, like, all the fucking cops in this world were DEI hires and they sucked at their job. It's like, they never caught you. Like, they could never, like, even if you got your fucking status way up there, like, there's nothing they could do. Right? Like, because that used to be one of the things I would test after a while, after I get sick of just playing the gameplay part of it. I'd just start fucking around. And I'd usually just test to see how sensitive it is and how far you can get before they come at you and how hard they come at you. And they just gotten worse and worse and worse in some of the games as far as like what you can do and get away with compared to what the cops, like they get triggered so fucking easily now. And it doesn't help that everybody has a cell phone. But even before they had the cell phones in the game, everybody was calling the cops before that too, but it wasn't as bad in the older games, but still. Like, yeah. Yeah, wrestling 4 foot. They would shoot you in the head for no good reason. Fuckers. I die most of the time. Just in GTA and just the DEI hires. We need good cops. Like just before the show, I shit you not, I'm watching this fucking video. There's 2 people inside a gas station. This guy comes in and takes one of the girls by knife into the back and starts cutting her up and shit like that. And the cop rolls up to the scene and this guy comes out and tells him what's going on. I think it's a her, to be honest with you, because I couldn't see the person, but just from the sound of the voice, let's say. I can't tell which direction they went, but I'm thinking it's female to male. Well, as they're getting in there, it takes them a whole of like 7 or 8 minutes before the other cop gets there, and they do jack shit. They're just standing there in the hallway going, well, it's not I can't get in there. I can't. It's like, motherfucker, you can hear the bitch screaming from the fucking bathroom. Like, get in there and stop this guy. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? That is your job. And it is fucking funny as hell because after all the other cops get there, another female officer basically says, like, what the fuck were you waiting for? Like, why didn't you just go? Luckily, the woman lived, but she was in pretty rough shape. This guy went nuts on her. It was fucking crazy, but like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. But anyhow, let's keep moving on. We got other shit to talk about here, unless there's more to talk about GTA, because Green Raptor says, reminder, gameplay trailers for Cyberpunk 2077 look fantastic. Then the game dropped and it looked like at 55. Don't give too much credit to them. Yeah, and I didn't. That's why I brought that up to CC off the bat, because I've heard that before.
I was just going to say that this game better get good word of mouth if it's going to be $100. Look, if it comes out of the gate and everyone's saying it's the most awesome thing ever, yeah, all right. But if it comes out and it's a broken mess,
dude, Davina, this is
yeah.
Sorry, I just got to say, because Tom's going to bust through the wall. Oh, yeah. Like, there was this one big black dude there who practically did that. But he's like, the dude had a knife and he was coming at me, so I got the fuck up out of there. And this the whole time the cops are sitting there going, uh-huh. Well, this lady's still being fucking tortured in the bathroom. It's like, dude, get in there and get your fucking job done. What the fuck are you doing? Like, there's one guy with a knife. You got a gun, a taser, fucking pepper spray. What the fuck are you waiting for? I'm sorry, that just drove me nuts. And you go read through the comments, it's all the same shit. Those 2 cops need to be fired. And a lot of other people are like, they got to be DEI hires and shit like that.
That's the thing. These people work on these games, and they envision that cops are just incompetent people, whether it's a good cop or a DEI hire cop.
Oh, I've seen
they
plenty of
envision
good
that they're all
cops.
the same. I know
I've seen
you have,
plenty
but
of
I'm
good
talking about
cops,
in-
yeah.
I'm talking about in the games. The people who work,
Yeah.
how they work in these games. That's how they interpret them, is that they're just all incompetent, that they're full shit at their job. That's why you're not going to get any sense of realism, because that's how they perceive the cops to be. They add any ounce of competence. Well, they care more about one particular audience than the rest of them because they bend to their will on anything.
Yeah, and this is another thing R2 brought up in the chat here, and I think you're right. There's going to be some subscription to this. I guarantee it. That you have to be a part of to play it.
I'm not going to own this.
Yep.
When I play this, and I'm sure I will, it will not be via ownership. This will be I play from a friend, and that's it. I'm tired of these systems.
I'm so
and
happy
not
the few
owning
times I
shit.
get a game where I don't have to be online for something. It's miraculous. Unless it's just for
Right.
like fucking updates and shit, which even then it's still anyway. Yeah, you definitely have to have PlayStation Plus, I'm sure. Yeah. Hopefully they don't add any extra stuff on top of that. But anyhow, let's get away from the gaming talk and let's get into movies because we got some sequelitis in the house.
Oh, more.
We got Practical Magic 2 coming. So CGI artists are going to be working just around the clock to try and remove all the wrinkles from Nicole Kidman's face. And about half of that are going to have to work on Sandra Bullock's face. But yeah, I guess they're going to fast track this bitch for 2026. Any fans of the original? I'll be honest with you, I've never seen it.
Never seen it. Knew about it, didn't care about it, and it didn't seem like a movie that people really talked about. But to be fair, I'm not the particular demographic, so maybe there's an audience for it that I'm not aware of.
It was a popular film with the chicks. Is there anybody on the panel that's excited for this?
I haven't seen it.
No, I've never seen it either. It just seems like they're going to be using so much CGI. They might as well just animate. They might as well just do animation instead.
And you can make fun of me all you want. If you've seen the AMC Nicole Kidman thing, you know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, for sure. She she looks like she had a lot of Botox and stuff, and
they did some CGI on her face.
I don't
like
even
you
know
can
what
see
Practical
the edges
Magic
of it.
1 is. I've never even seen this movie.
It's a movie about witches, they're sisters. So Practical Magic 2 is the follow-up to the 98 fantasy comedy. We'll cast a theatrical spell next fall. The witchy sequel starring Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman is set to debut on September 18th, 2026. That means they better start shooting soon.
Did it even do well, the first movie? I don't even remember.
I think the original
existing.
one did pretty well. It's based on a book series, though they never made a sequel, surprisingly.
This is like the most unenthusiastic I've been about a sequel in years. Like,
Well, it's not really made for us. Let's be real. I mean, I was hoping they would say how much the original made. I want to say it did fairly well from my memory, and it also came out in the height of Blu-ray or of DVD, so it was a pretty big seller on DVD too, I'm sure. Let's see here what it did in the box office, though. It did about 68 million. It had a $75 million budget, but after DVD sales and shit, it probably made a decent profit. But I guarantee you that the original plays well on HBO Max, so that's probably why it got a greenlit on a sequel. Because we heard about this, and I heard similar things, that basically they're just running through the Warner Brothers stable of films, and if it's something that was popular enough, they're thinking about making a sequel to it. So that's where the Goonies, Gremlins, all that shit come out. So you can thank Beetlejuice for all that. And on a similar note, one that we'll never get, and this one I think we will talk a little bit about, David Spade got pitched a sequel to Tommy Boy not only 2 years ago. Can you believe the dumb fucks at Paramount thought that was a good idea?
Of course they thought that. Of
course
course
they
they
did.
that idea.
They'll make a sequel to anything, but the truth is that even if Farley was alive, I think that some of these movies, you can't recapture that kind of magic and time, and most of the time these things fall flat. How many of these sequels actually were really good or added something or were better than the
We
original.
already got a sequel. It was called Black Sheep.
Yeah,
and
I was
it
gonna
sucked.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was great.
They did Black Sheep.
It was
which a
basically the
follow-up to
same
this.
fucking
Right.
movie, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, that's true.
and it had its good parts, but for the most part, it was just a remake of Tommy Boy.
It just showed you that there was no sequel in this,
No,
right?
no.
Exactly.
No,
Artu knows where I'm coming from. Like, it was like, okay, this is a one and done. These guys have great chemistry, but you need to find something else for them to do.
Yeah.
Because they literally just, and the thing is, you can tell that the script for Black Sheep, because I just watched it recently too, and you're right, it does have some great bits in it, but you can tell at some point they're like, we got to make this more like Tommy Boy. So, like, they put him on the road and all this other shit for no good fucking reason for half the movie, and it's a very ill-conceived idea for a film because it was right in the height of Clinton's brother, what's his name, Roger, being known as, you know, the family fuck up, but little did we know he's probably the least of that family at that time. So they're trying to play on that kind of shit, and it just didn't land. But Tommy Boy was a fucking classic, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
it was one of those films that managed to grab the new young up and coming audience, which was like our age group at the time. It had the classics of all the old, you know, road pictures of the past mixed with the modern style of Chris Farley and David Spade. And then you had guys like Dan Aykroyd and Brian Dennehy there to kind of anchor the film for you. You know what I mean? And and these guys' chemistry was just fucking amazing. Like, you couldn't recapture that again the way they did it here with the same panache.
No,
and we
not
learned
at
that
all.
from Black Sheep. And even David Spade was smart enough to go, no, we can't do this, not without Chris. And the story, I guess, was about David and Chris's kids having to basically recreate the first movie with David's help. So he would have been the third wheel in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you even want this? Because it's just going to be a fucking, you know what this gave me shades of? Blues Brothers 2000.
Oh yeah,
God.
that
Yeah.
one wasn't good.
That was rough.
The 2001, I only saw it once, and I barely even remember. Like, I blocked it out. I don't want to remember what I saw in that movie.
If you skip through the movie and just watch the musical bits, it's fine. It's like a Blues Brothers reunion special. But if you skip the movie itself.
I don't even think I finished watching that. I was so just lost by the middle of it. I was like, I don't care about this anymore.
It's one of the most ill-conceived sequels in history, and the way it came about. And there's a great video out there from Hats Off Entertainment, the guy who's done some great videos. He goes through the history of it, and he's pretty spot on from my memory too. And the problem was the studio wouldn't wait for James Belushi. That's number one problem. Number two, the studio wanted a fucking kid in the movie, and that's what we're getting here is kids. But I mean, granted, they're probably going to be closer to the age of what David Spade and Chris Farley were in the first movie, I imagine, but that's not the point. So you're just going to get Dumb and Dumberer mixed with fucking Blues Brothers 2000. Really is what they were fucking pitching here, if you think about it, right? Because what are they going to do? They're going to cast two young kids who remind you of David Spade and Chris Farley to play their sons. At
Even
least they
with
were
James
sons. I'll give
Belushi.
them that.
Even with James Belushi, I don't know that it would have been good, but at least it would have seemed a little more respectful.
It would have made more sense because the original script, James Belushi was technically the blood brother of John's character in the story.
Right.
And he became a cop. So that was kind of the humor of it. And they still have that character in the movie, but it's all muddled because it's no longer a relation to John Belushi's character. It's like some long lost kid to what's his face from the first film. God, I just forgot his damn name. The blues singer. Or jazz singer. Sings Minnie the Moocher.
Yeah.
Help me out here.
Shit, I can't believe I forgot his name.
Oh,
The
God.
guy with the voice.
And I can't even remember his real name now. I'm like having a total fucking brain fart. Yeah.
Cab Calloway?
Cab Calloway, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, so he's then now then they retrofitted him into that, and it was just like it just didn't work, and then the kid was like there for no good reason. John Goodman's character was always part of the script. That part was he was always going to be the new third Blues Brother. That was part of the thing, but Like, yeah, so the movie did get changed from what it was meant to be, all because James Belushi wasn't even wasn't able to make the shoot because he had another pilot he had to shoot, and it wasn't even for his comedy. It was a show that never even happened, but he was contractually obligated to it. He couldn't get out of it, and Universal wouldn't wait a few months so he could be a part of the movie instead.
They needed to wait. I mean, that was the only way you could do something semi-respectful.
Exactly.
They needed to wait.
Because as it is now, it's so tangential and stupid that it feels like a really bad reunion TV special, right? Like,
yeah, that's how it felt.
Yeah, and
it wasn't honestly, even with James, even with anything, it wasn't necessary. But if you insisted on making it, maybe you could have made it more respectful. As it is, it's just a pretty terrible movie. Like I said, I've seen the Blues Brothers, the original one, many, many times. The second one I saw maybe once. Barely.
Yeah, no. And I think this would have turned out a lot the same way. I'm glad David Spade said no.
Tommy Boy is an absolute classic. This is one of the very few comedies I've ever bothered to buy on 4K Blu-ray, just because I really do love it so much. It's such a great film. It's so much fun. Just the two of them just
infinitely
together.
quotable too.
Yeah. But the two of them, Chris and David together, just playing off each other all the way through the movie. It's absolutely classic. And you know that this was just going to be some sort of garbage requel where they make out like it's going to be some continuation of the story, but it's really just going to be the same gags they did the first time, but with different actors, hoping they can
basically Coming to America 2 and stuff
yes,
like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And Blues Brothers 2000 and all the other ones we mentioned. Yeah,
just hoping they can spark up new interest in creating a franchise out of this, and it's like, just stop, go away.
Making a comedy sequel is even more difficult than making any kind of other movie sequel, because comedy changes over time. Whatever was like considered peak funny or peak comedy in the 80s or in the 90s, you try to bring back that same thing today. Humor is different. It's hard to revive that thing again. That's why Coming to America 2 was bad. That's why Beverly Hills Cop 4 was bad. A lot of times you can't get the energy from the actors. Comedy is different than drama, and at the same time, comedy, the medium itself, it's so different now.
That's a good point, Price, because a good example of that is look at like Neil Simon's original Odd Couple with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau compared to the sequel, which came 30 years later, and that was trying to it was trying to emulate the Grumpy Old Men formula, which you're 100% right. That's an example of what you're talking about. You took what used to be, the Odd Couples, the initial Odd Couple, because now that's its own, comedy genre unto itself. And now you've took that 30 years into the future and look what it became. It became Grumpy Old Men, right? Like it totally flipped around on the type of humor that it was and different types of humor that it was comparatively to years ago, and that's what infected the Odd Couple 2 sequel. Neil Simon tried his ass off to fucking write a sequel to that movie, right? And I give him credit. It's not a bad movie, but the problem is it follows two Grumpy Old Men movies that are better. That's the problem. and even that boat movie is almost better that they were on. But like, you're 100% right, and I don't think it would have worked. I don't think it would have been the same fucking. It just wouldn't have landed the same. It would have felt like a really bad greatest hits album done by a band where only one of the original members is still left. And maybe they would have dusted off Rob Lowe for some dumb fucking reason. Like he gets out of prison in the beginning of the movie for some stupid fucking reason. I can see it, all right? Like I can see all the stupid prats they'd fall into and pitfalls they'd fall into. And thank God, and David Spade doesn't need the money. And even if he does, he at least had the fucking, balls to say, no, thanks, but no thanks on that. I'm good. So, yeah, Happy Gilmore 2. That looks like a sad fucking sequel. Oh, man, I'm not looking for it. It can surprise me, but I don't think it will. But another sequel that actually is modern and looks like it's going to be sooner than later is The Beekeeper 2. And Amazon MGM is ramping up their theatrical release because now they want worldwide distribution on Beekeeper 2. So they want all that money. They want the big monies. Because for those who don't know or don't remember, usually as we bring up, Jason Statham's a pretty big actor and big star. He's pretty big in the U.S., but he's huge internationally.
Oh, yeah. His movies always do better overseas. Like You could, so let's just say like a U.S. movie might do like 30 or 40 million.
He's
It
like
will
what
do double
Schwarzenegger and
that.
Stallone
Double,
used to be back in the
sometimes
day.
triple.
Yeah.
He'll double or triple that overseas in current times. He is a big deal on the other side. So no, and that's good for, because a lot of his movies get saved by overseas. His movies do get saved by overseas.
There's another angle here. I think that between rentals, that they know how many people rent these movies when they're, they cost $10 or whatever to rent, or even more, immediately after it's in the theater. They know how much money they're making. Not only that, they also know the level of interest people have when it comes to streaming and his movies. And I think that when you make a Jason Statham movie today, you're not only thinking about the theatrical run. Theatrical run, best case scenario, it covers your expenses, maybe makes a few dollars, but they're also thinking about the streaming and about the pay-per-view. And I think that somehow Statham has a steady fan base, or people that are just willing to throw a few dollars on him or watch his movies. And I can understand why. You know what you're getting from him. And if you want an action movie these days that's not like, doesn't look like GTA 6, if you want like a real action movie where a guy is like going around kicking people's asses, that's who you can rely on.
I think they did pretty well with Working Man too, because I don't have any actual numbers in front of me, but I just from what I remember hearing or seeing somewheres, that it did very, very well on video on demand.
I'm sure it did. In the theatrical run, it sort of barely covered its expenses, in my opinion. But
domestically, barely covered. Overseas is what's saving its ass.
Right.
And that's what I mean is I think Amazon had those rights, and I think they saw that money, and I think you guys are right. And I think they're like, okay, we want to get into the Jason Statham game.
I mean, I think that the model is, first of all, in the theatrical, you cover your expenses, if nothing else. Then between the pay-per-view, and then you just have it as part of your catalog on streaming, they notice that this thing is an additional revenue for them, and it must be significant if they're looking to do this deal with him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think he's really popular. I mean, obviously, he is the only one we have anymore that's like a Stallone, a Van Damme, a Schwarzenegger in that. And I think you're right, Price. And that's what kept Van Damme alive for so long and created his career, right? Like he started out as a video darling and became this A-list actor overnight. I mean, he killed his career with drugs and Street Fighter, but that's a whole other conversation.
One leads to the other, that's
Jason, on the other hand, he has kept his nose clean. He hasn't had one fucking controversy that I can think of, not even some baby mama drama or drama around him at all.
He's a pretty regular guy. He says, I'm the type of guy who likes to work, do his job, come home to his wife.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was married until like recently. I wasn't even like, he could be gay and I don't know and I don't care.
No, he married.
I'd never seen him with a woman, but I guess
he rocks a great Speedo when he was.
He married a Victoria's Secret model that was significantly younger than him.
Of course, he did.
10 years ago or so.
What a shock! He wanted to actually marry an actual woman. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, I like his style. You know what I mean? He seems to have the right priorities.
He definitely seems like he's got his priorities straight. Which
is a good investment for Amazon.
Oh,
a very good investment.
Absolutely, yeah. The first one made nearly 4x its original budget when you put everything together.
Beekeeper 2 is one of my favorite movies of last year. It was fucking great.
Dude, I love.
It's not even anything special. It doesn't even break any new ground or anything like that. It's just a straightforward, fun, revenge-o-matic action film with a little gimmick to it, and even some of it you kind of just go, whatever, I don't care.
The B lore is amazing. The more you watch it and realize how fun the B lore is, I'm like, dude, they actually really thought out the lore on this stuff. That's actually really crazy. I love it. And I love how rewatchable it is, too. It's so crazy.
And it even gave Mrs. Huxtable a little bit of a redemption arc because, nobody's brought up her, Felicia Rashad, in how many fucking years because of the being attached to Bill Cosby. Thank God she got to be in something for once in a while.
Well, she was in the Creed movies, at least. They gave her that.
But she is background at best, and she was recast for no good fucking reason. Like, I still go, why couldn't you just get the original actress? What's wrong with her?
Not sure.
And not only that, my whole problem with that, I'm not even going to get into that movie. That's one thing Ryan Coogler and I, if I ever met him face to face, I'd be like, why did you do that to Creed? You did
because
not
he
have to do
diminishes
that to him.
Apollo's character, but really he was, I don't know, he was trying to think of a situation where you can have the youngest kid possible and still make it a relatively young guy.
What difference does it make? You could have had her be knocked up, find out she was knocked up while she's right after the funeral.
Right at the funeral, yeah. But
Yeah.
then the problem is, I guess, he wanted to show that he's a little more urban, like he came out of like a difficult system.
It's a ripoff of Rocky, and this is where I keep telling people Creed is the Force Awakens of the Rocky franchise, and
In a
thank
way,
God
I
Stallone
agree.
wrote Creed 2.
I
That's
didn't
all I can say.
I didn't hate Creed 1. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Creed 2. I didn't even
I
hate
love Creed 2.
3.
I don't like Creed 1. I have not watched Creed 3.
I'm with you, Tom. I'm right there with you. Exact same opinions on both movies.
Oh, the original Mrs. Creed did actually die. Okay, well then that was good recasting then, Boba Fett. I'll take that back. All right. So, but that being said, no, I mean, I don't see why, because it's not like Michael B. Jordan's that young anyway, right? Like, he could have been one of the kids that already existed and nobody would have gave a shit. And I would have loved a little bit of a reversal on the original film, right? Instead of him coming from nothing, it's the fact that he has to get out from underneath his father's shadow. He already had everything handed to him, and that's why everybody expects him, you know, oh, you had a silver spoon up your ass your entire life. Well, then he's like, well, fuck this. I'm going to go and learn from Rocky, right? You know, like that would have made more sense. And especially if he was one of the kids that already existed, then he would have known Rocky, right? Like they would actually kind of half-ass been known. So like, I don't know. There's just that's the only two things that really bother me about the movie. Because then you even add in, like, you give him the girlfriend with the half-deaf girlfriend, which is just basically like Adrian, right? And then he even has a baby and everything just like Adrian does. It's all the same shit. It goes along the same lines. But anyhow, that being said, they do actually let him win in that, though. But we're going to wrap this up. Price, let's start with you. What you got going on?
Well, tonight at 11:45 p.m. there's The Night Owl with Professor R2, and that's on my live stream channel. It's 11:45 p.m. Eastern. And if you're not subscribed to my live stream channel yet, you should definitely do that now.
All right, check that out, kids. And CC, what you got going on? I know you got a new channel that you're building up.
Yeah, I got CC Karaoke and CC Karaoke X. So I'm just working on that. I just grind. I got a whole bunch of stuff to just get things back and rolling with that. So that's what I'm doing. Sitting in front of the computer grinding out videos all day.
Awesome sauce. And we got Professor R2. What you got going on?
Well, I'll be doing the Night Owl with Price Tuesday and Thursday evenings. And also I am a regular over on B-roll stage for the B-sides on Friday evenings. You can join us over there where we watch well, maybe not a great movie, but a fun movie anyway, and we have a little fun with it. So, yeah, and you can also follow me on X.
Sorry about that. Nick, what you got coming up? I know you're a bit of a grandma's boy, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I gotta just go spend the night at my friend's place because I lost the apartment because my friend used our rent money to buy off a bunch of massage therapists who were actually hookers. So I got kicked out and I go spend that at my friend's place. He has a car bed and I'm going to go use the bathroom. Hope I don't get caught doing anything funky at that. Yes. Anyways, we're going to talk Grandma's Boy for Toxic Tuesday. One of my favorite comedies of all time ever. It's so good. It's so great. And I hope you come out because it's going to be a diabolically huge time. Even Ellen Covert, who plays Alfred tonight, that's happening. Who knows? Maybe he'll pop up in the chat. I don't know. But he is aware our show is happening, so it's pretty great. So, yeah, come hang out to me in 1 hour. Hope to see as many of you there as possible. This is your chance to get some drinks or do some downtime. I don't know. Laugh, cry, crap your pants, and then be ready for this movie.
Smoke a doobie and play some video games.
Yeah. Take care, JP.
All right. With that, we're going to get on out of here. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you on the next. Cute kitty. Available now for the first time ever on DVD from Midnight's Edge After Dark Productions. It's My Two Dads, the complete first season starring Mexican Iron Man Tom Connors and Culture Casino. Available now for $19.99 while supplies last.